Now, this particular philosophy it's not new. It's called Six Sigma. Been around a long time. Even before Six Sigma had a name, it was known as quality control, quality management. So we've had this around, these solutions have been there for many decades now. And Lean is an example of decades. I mean, Toyota began Lean back in the 1950s. And this paid off very well for them, and the world is now beginning to adopt the smart solutions that Lean gives us. What we do know, if we want to begin decreasing our failure rates to go from a 2 Sigma world to a 4 Sigma world to a 5 Sigma world with less and less human errors or less and less errors, there's a way we have to follow. There's a particular sequence of activities. In a normal business that doesn't have anything more than, say, your average quality procedures with your guys, the average trained guys, average trained managers, doing the best they can, what we find, we get an outcome where we have typically between 3.5 and 2 Sigma frequency of errors in that business. Now, this is trained people, trained technicians, tradesmen, artisans, MBA managers. And this is guys that have been through the ropes and learnt what they're meant to learn. And still the business delivers between 3.5 and 2 Sigma. Too many errors. When we begin to then the next step to reduce that is we have to systematise our processes and standardise our procedures. At this stage here, we're moving from a higher number of error rates to a lower error rate. Now, Boeing and Airbus, what do they give you? They give you a standardised procedures in a systemised way. They're one way and one way only to maintain and fly their aircraft. So they've moved from trained people with average processes into a systematised and standardised process. As a consequence, the error rate goes down. We are trying to go the next step and develop more perfect processes. Because as we standardise and have one way only, we can reduce the errors and control that process. And once we make a system of that across the whole business, once everyone does it the same way, then we are producing a situation where it is controlled. We have a controlled outcomes of known quality, and we can repeat that forevermore. So we began with trained people. We go into ISO 9001, which is now being thrust down companies' throats across the world. Better than that is total quality control. And there's one more on top of that. And the one that we promote in plant equipment wellness is an accuracy controlled enterprise. We're going to talk more about this in the coming days, but the whole point of accuracy controlled enterprise is literally that. Please, Mr. Manager, explain to me exactly what right is. What is the right outcome? And then teach me how to do that every single time. And because it is done the same way every single time, I will produce the same outcomes every single time. So this goes even further and tries to combine all the previous good practices into a new way of tackling this thing, of tackling our work, that is systematic and one way only. So if I've got 100 technicians in my maintenance crew, there's only one way to maintain this pump because it's written in the procedure. Is the procedure to maintain the bearing of a pump, to maintain the impeller, to maintain the shaft, to maintain the mechanical seal. Only one procedure, and 100 guys use this one procedure the same way every single time. So now I've moved from trained guys to business processes that control human error to business-wide processes that go across the whole life cycle of the business. And then we're going to adopt the Boeing and Airbus approach. Doesn't matter who does it, doesn't matter where they are in the world, there's only one best way. So we're going to find the best way and lock that into our company's strategies forevermore. No matter who comes through that front door, a new guy, a guy that doesn't even speak the language, he's going to be taught this one best way. Now these 100 guys, they're a resource to improve the best way. I don't want my guys to just be monkeys and follow my one procedure, because I know that one procedure, the first time I've written that, I can't be right. I can't write a perfect procedure straight off. So I'm going to challenge my guys, all 100 guys, and say, guys, find a better way. Here's our start. We're going to start with the beginnings of our improvement process that will go on forevermore. And I want you guys to take my one best way and make it your one best way, and then his one best way as the years go by. So we're not going to have one rigid only solution. We're going to do what Boeing does. When the airplane falls out of the sky, we go and investigate what the problem is. find out where the defect was in the previous processes, go back, fix that defect, change the documentation. The documentation now goes worldwide and now across the whole world. From that one failure, the whole world is improved. So yes, I'm going to take the same thinking, but one document that 100 guys now work on to improve. And by crikeys, I bet you in 2 or 3 years' time, that thing's going to fly. You're going to have a fantastic process that everybody's bought into, everybody's helped improve, everybody knows and understands and wants to find an even smarter way again to do it. And I want that. I want to challenge my guys to come up with smart answers because everybody wins that way. They win, the company wins, the customer wins, business wins.